In a show of absolute disdain and absolute no regard for the American voter, here's a series of headlines I want you guys to look at regarding Bernie Sanders. Now, when you just Google Bernie Sanders, just the name Bernie Sanders, these are the headlines that pop up. Nothing else added to his name, just Bernie. This is what pops up. Here's Daily Beast. Worried Democratic operatives scramble to fund a network to take down Bernie Sanders. They let him get away with murder. Dems tormented over how to stop Bernie. Oh my God, Sanders can win. Democrats grapple with Bernie surge in Iowa. And here's another one. Democrats struggle with how directly to knock Sanders. Yeah, this is what is going on. The establishment doesn't care about what the voter wants. The establishment wants to stop the voter from liking Bernie Sanders. They're trying to figure out ways to get the voter to not like Bernie and to vote for their guy Biden or Buttigieg. That's what they're trying to do. We're going to read through a little bit of these articles. We're actually going to read through the Politico article in order to get a better understanding. They all pretty much say similar things. So here we go. Here's excerpts from this article. With Bernie Sanders gaining steam a week before the Iowa caucuses, tormented Democrats are second-guessing what they say was a hands-off strategy against the Vermont senator in the 2020 primary. So what they're saying here is that they would have preferred that they would have gotten a little bit more nitty gritty, and gotten in there and smeared the guy or slammed the guy. They really wanted to do what they did to Tulsi. They wish they could have done to Bernie. They say they fear a repeat of 2016 is in the making. And by the way, when they say a repeat of 2016 in the making, not a repeat of rigging the election between Hillary Clinton and Bernie Sanders. No, they say when mainstream Republicans scoffed at the idea that Donald Trump could ever win the nomination until he became unstoppable, only this time from the left. So now they're equating Bernie Sanders to Donald Trump. They're saying, oh my gosh, what if what happens to the Democratic Party is what happened to the Republican Party? That actually the people get what they want. We can't let that happen. We can't let that happen. No, what happened to the Republican Party was that Republican voters were fed up with their establishment. They got fed up with the same old, same old. They wanted change. They wanted people to really hear them, to hear their grievances, to listen to them, to understand their struggle. Not the guys that bailed out the banks, not the guys that greased all the cronies. They wanted somebody else. And that's why they voted for Donald Trump. And they're saying, oh my gosh, this might happen to the Democrats. Yes, this is happening to the Democrats, guys. Wake up call. So it goes on to say here, the Republican money people were laughing at Trump when he came down the escalator, and they kept laughing at him for way too long until, holy crap, he's winning primaries. Matt Bennett, co-founder of Third Way, told Politico. Bennett said he's attempted for weeks to find an organized effort to combat Sanders' rise, so far to no avail. What I fear is one will emerge too late, as what happened with Trump. So here he is, the founder of Third Way, which, by the way, Third Way is a centrist organization. So Third Way is, Bill Clinton was a Third Way Democrat. Barack Obama was a Third Way Democrat. They're really Republican light. They're not Democrats. They're not FDR Democrats. They are instead Republicans, light Republicans. And a lot of time, when you look at the Democratic Party now, it's really just become the Republican Party that's not racist. That's kind of, that's really what the Democrats have become. But when it comes to actual policy for the people, screw the people. So this guy, the co-founder of the Third Way, says, we've got to stop him. What I fear is one is going to emerge too late. He says many Democrats say they respect the support behind Sanders, but fear a self-described Democratic socialist would cede must-win battlegrounds to Trump. So what they're afraid of is that the independent or more moderate Democrats won't vote for Sanders because they fear Bernie Sanders is a socialist who's going to take America to communism. But the only reason why anybody thinks that is because the media and the establishment have been beating that narrative into their heads, an untrue narrative that is not at all what Bernie Sanders' vision for America is. Bernie Sanders is an FDR Democrat. Now, he calls himself a socialist because, people get... It's probably a bad idea, actually, that he calls himself that just because people have an idea in their mind of what it is versus what it actually is. But here, it goes on to say, but the Democratic establishment is caught in a catch-22. Attack Sanders and risk galvanizing his supporters and turning him into a martyr of the far left, or leave him alone and watch him continue to gather momentum. So basically, He either gathers momentum or he gathers momentum. Oh no. Oh no. This is what the voters want. He either gathers momentum or he gathers momentum. So what they saw was after Hillary Clinton attacked him and after reports came out that Barack Obama would do anything he could to stop Bernie Sanders, Sanders actually started climbing in the polls even more so because people started to say, you know what, if the establishment's that against him, then I'm for him. Because people are so against the establishment that the establishment can't understand that. They just do not know. They are being broken up with and they're just unwilling to see it. He's in a position to win Iowa and New Hampshire at this point, said Ben LeBolt, Obama's former national press secretary. Now's the moment. We're a week out from Iowa. It might be too late for some states already, but it's not too late for the nomination. So they're saying, okay, in Iowa and New Hampshire, it looks like he's doing really well. But, overall, he's got to win all the states. But here's the thing. I did a segment on this. Any candidate who wins the nomination has won Iowa or New Hampshire in the primaries. So if Sanders ends up winning both, guys, the establishment, guys, you're just going to have to wake up. He's the man. You're going to have to, instead of stop smearing him, build him up. LeBolt says Sanders' competitors should have hit him harder on the debate stage and on the campaign trail. He argued there's less risk of going negative now that the field is narrowed to 4 or 5 viable candidates in Iowa and New Hampshire. Hit him with what? The guy has been incredibly consistent for 40 years. What are you going to hit him with? There's nothing to hit him with. You're not going to be able to get him with a bad voting record like Biden or Harris. You're not going to be able to get him for being bought out by oligarchs or taking big money because he never has. The guy is incredibly consistent. You can't hit him. There's nothing negative to hit him with except you're going to sit there and say, oh, he's a socialist. He's a communist. He actually wants to give people health care. Oh, my gosh. Ugh, the sin of that. Says he added there should be a paid media strategy that would challenge him. Who should do that? I don't have the answer to that. So this is Obama's former national press secretary. And this is what he's saying about Bernie Sanders. Screw the people. Who cares what they want? He's rising. Oh, no. People actually like him. Oh, no. We can't let that happen. Oh, no. Swing states have a higher concentration of swing voters. We need a nominee who draws them to the Democratic column, says Rahm Emanuel, the former Chicago mayor and chief of staff to Obama. Sanders' theory, like Trump's for the right, is based on the notion of a higher turnout of infrequent voters. Okay. These guys seriously need to understand their day is over. People have moved on. Third way, let's just go back to this third way guy. Ben is out there. That's the third way guy, right? So, Matt Bennett. Matt Bennett was the third way guy. Ben is the Obama guy. Okay, so Matt Bennett, the co-founder of Third Way. So Third Way are these centrist, corporatist Democrats. And when you look at what's going on in the world, so not only just look at the United States, clearly Bernie's support was big in 2016. The movement was really beginning, but it's even bigger now. Bernie Sanders' support has grown, not dwindled. More people are on board with this. And when you look at the world, the only real third way, so we're seeing this kind of pendulum swinging going on all around the world where either to the far right or to the far left, people are sick of the establishment. They're sick of that center third way column. And so you're seeing some of the, Brexit, like with Boris Johnson, and you're seeing Brazil, and you even saw in France. Now, France is interesting because in France you had Marine Le Pen, and she was actually doing really, really well, and she was kind of that anti-establishment right-winger, right? Well, they ended up with what would be equivalent to a third-way Democrat. They ended up with Emmanuel Macron. And look at how well that's going for them in France. Yeah, yellow vests are still protesting. I believe they're on their 69th week of protesting. Yellow vests out in the street, burning shit. That is how well a third way centrist Democrat is going. So if they think that that is what America wants, that that is what the world wants, that that is where we're at, that the world doesn't want these hard swings to the right or the left, that the world wants a third way, all they need to do is go ask Emmanuel Macron how well that's going. So they need to read not just in between the lines. They need to read the lines that are in front of their face. The people are saying, we are sick of the establishment. We want something different. We do not want the same old who dug us into this ditch, who is robbing us blind legally. We've got an establishment right now that have legalized robbery of the American people. They're not doing anything. They say they're in Congress and in the White House. They're sitting there saying, well, but this politician didn't do something illegal. Yeah, maybe that was a little unethical when Joe Biden got his son a job for mega millions of dollars. Maybe it was unethical, but it wasn't illegal. No, it's not illegal because they've legalized the robbery. They've made it okay. So people are fed up with it. People are sick of our politicians taking our money and taking money from big corporations, big multinational corporations who do not care about the American people and instead serving the interests of their oligarch masters. That is what people are sick of. People are sick of it, and they're not reading the lines in front of their faces. But hopefully they read those lines and lines of people who go out and vote, and they vote for the anti-establishment candidates. They're going to see those lines. Now, something else to point out here. Rahm Emanuel sits here and tries to say that, and the Obama guy, Ben, they sit there and they say, well, we need to get those independent voters and their centrists, because those centrists are the ones that are going to help us beat Trump. That's all they care about. We just got to beat Trump, so we got to get those centrists. Yet, so they think that if they get a guy like Joe Biden in there or Pete Buttigieg, that's the guy who's going to win, because that's the guy who's going to get all the support. And yet they're ignoring a glaring problem. And it is this. Here's Newsweek came out last week, or this was 4 days ago. And they said here, only 53% of Bernie Sanders voters will definitely support 2020 Democratic nominee if he doesn't win. So only 53% will for sure vote blue no matter who, of Bernie Sanders supporters. That means the vast majority, and you could include me in this, you could include a lot of people in this, the vast majority of us who support independent candidates, who support non-establishment candidates, my people, I love Tulsi, Bernie, and Yang, and Marianne Williamson, and, I got my list. It's a short list. I guess that's my list. But, if it's not one of those anti-establishment candidates, then, yeah, you cannot count on me to vote blue no matter who, because this is war, guys. This is war. When an establishment Democrat wins, Democrats become complacent. That is the problem. They say, okay, all is well now. Trump's out of office. So now we don't have, and before Trump, it was Bush. It's always the boogeyman, any boogeyman. And then they say, oh, well, phew, thank goodness that person's out. So we're all safe. We're safe now. And they rob us even more blind, because we don't even see it coming when the Democrats in office. We think, okay, they've got our best interest in mind, and they don't. They don't. They're still in bed with the oligarchs. They're still getting out of office and becoming multi-mega millionaires. Even maybe the Obama brand they think is worth $1 billion. This is what happens. They get out of office, and the first thing Obama does is he gets on a yacht with Richard Branson and makes millions of dollars. And we're supposed to be okay with that? We're supposed to sit here and say, yep, but he's for us. He's for the people. Because look at how great our lives are. The middle class is shrinking. The poor are getting poorer. The rich are getting richer. And our former president, who's supposed to be with the people, is like off on a yacht with Richard Branson. This is normal. This is not normal, guys. This isn't normal. It's outrageous. It's infuriating. It's war. And what we, the people, have to say is, no, we will not vote blue no matter who. And if that means you lose, because you need to understand that this party, the Democratic Party, is the party that is supposed to be for the people, and hell or high water, we're going to make sure that it is. And if that means we have to suffer a little bit in order to get you to get it, then that's what it takes. Because you know what? Suffering, even for me in my mind, suffering another 4 years is worth it if it means things actually change, rather than going 40 more years of this status quo where we continue to become an even more corrupt society, an even more bought out society, to the point of no return. There is still a possibility of return right now. And we have to fight. We have to do everything we can for that little bit of return. We can't give up and say, oh no, but Trump is this is as bad as it's ever going to get. Because guys, it isn't. This is not the worst it can get. It can get worse. All you have to do is look around the world. All you have to do is look around at the other corrupt societies who are basically failed states. It can get worse. So what we have to do is open our eyes to that and realize we are not immune to a completely failed state. We are not immune to complete outrageous corruption like we see in some other countries. We are not immune to this. And we have to stop it now at this first sign of disease. We've got to stop it now. And we are fighting a battle. And some of those people that we're fighting claim to be on our side, and they're not. And that is the problem. So you've got all of these establishment people sitting here saying, oh, we've got to stop Bernie Sanders. We have to stop the candidate who's for the people. They've already buried Tulsi Gabbard. They don't give Andrew Yang any airtime. Marianne Williamson, I haven't seen her in forever. I mean, they just don't care about anybody who has a different narrative than the narrative they want to spout. And Elizabeth Warren, there was a chance. I had some hope for Elizabeth Warren a little bit that maybe she would not turn into an absolute establishment candidate. But that hope is slipping further and further away. I think many of us are seeing that, yes, she will continue to maybe talk the talk of being anti big corporations and oligarchs. But when push comes to shove, is she really going to actually walk the walk? She talks the talk, but is she going to walk the walk? So I don't think so. I'm starting to think that it's not the case. But this is outrageous. The establishment is working very hard to bury Bernie Sanders. And they think because they're counting on you voting blue no matter who. That's what they're counting on. And the reality of it is they're not paying attention to reality, which is 53% of Bernie Sanders voters will say, okay, fine. But the other half are not. And they're going to lose to Donald Trump. But you know what? In their mind, they'd rather lose to Donald Trump and keep another guy in there who's going to keep the status quo going than to get somebody in there who's really going to shake shit up. They really don't want a shit shaker in there. So we've got to wake up to this, guys. We have to wake up to this. Thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe, hit the bell. It really does help this channel get in front of more people. Thank you so much.